before I get into the episode, I just want to thank you for your support. Even if you have never bought anything from me, and even if you never will, every single view, engagement, share, save, send, like anything you do to engage with this content, even just by watching or listening, you are supporting me, because I also am working towards monetizing all of my content in itself, even the content that doesn't directly lead to some kind of purchase or sale. So again, thank you so much for watching, listening, or being here. In this episode, I'm going to be sharing tips to help you stop creating from scratch. We're going to be specifically focusing on reusing today. We're staying in line with this whole repurposing theme, especially because I'm going to be making an announcement very soon that leads in with everything we're talking about here. My name is Brittany Verlenich. I'm a content strategist, social media manager, total marketing nerd, and of course, I'm the host of this show. So welcome. I am a total nerd about content repurposing. It is something I do literally all day, almost every single day, for myself, for my own blogs and creative projects, for my own personal brand work, and for clients. So if you're new here, this is what I do. It is something I have committed to learning about full time. It is my craft. I am constantly and continually perfecting it and learning more so that I can share all of that with you. So I hope that this piece of content, just like every single piece of content you come across your mind, is valuable. I want to help you get more out of your content, because I know that often when people find this podcast, when they come to me, they're feeling really overwhelmed by what feels like the content creation hamster wheel. It seems like there's always a new platform to learn, a new feature to figure out, some weird new glitch that you need to troubleshoot, some new trend that you feel like you have to hop on. It is honestly a lot. Content creation and even content marketing can feel like a full-time job. And if you want to learn more about the distinction, by the way, between content marketing as a TPT seller or Etsy shop owner over here and content creation for my teacher, creator, and influencer folks, I went really deep into that in the last episode of this podcast. You can just go back one episode and find it. If you're really interested, by the way, in working with brands and being a true influencer and getting paid to create content, it's a thing, by the way. I've done it. I do it. You can check out the Teacher Creator podcast also here on YouTube, and you can find the full version on Substack. I'll be sure to link that down in the description below if you want to go check it out on Substack. By the way, if you are going the Teacher Creator route, highly recommend looking into Substack. You can have a free email list. It's a free place to host your podcast, and you can use that both as a way to get more traffic to your affiliate links and to your products if you want to go that route, or you can monetize Substack itself by putting paywalls up for your content so that people have to pay for certain access to things. Okay, let's get into this idea, by the way, of reusing content. In the last episode, I talked about this song that was really popular when I was a kid. It was all about teaching recycling, and it usually got a lot of play around Earth Day. Maybe I'll even link the video if I can find it. In this episode, I want to talk about different ways that you can reuse what you've already created, what you already have, what you've already made, because you don't have to start from scratch every single time. I think that's a really big misunderstanding that is costing many sellers and teacher creators like hours of their weeks and months. I know in the last episode I said that when we're looking at this whole cycle of creating a content ecosystem and looking into how can we start to use these steps in our content or think about this framework, I said the first step was reducing, and usually it is, but I actually want to come to that one last, because even though it is the simplest in concept, just get rid of what's not serving you, it's really hard for people to let go. I mean, if you even just think about the act of letting go, it is a physical act. If you can see me, I'm opening my hand, I'm releasing something, but that actually takes a lot of energy to physically let go of something. When we're mentally, emotionally letting go of something, it's even harder. So we're going to go into that in a future episode, but today I want to talk about reusing content because it's probably the easiest, most simple, quickest way for you to get a win. And I think you need a win, especially if you're trying to look for ways to reduce your workload, get more out of what you're creating or what you've already created, and just get more done. And not even just get more done, but get more of the right things done. Get more of the activities done that are actually going to make a difference and move the needle in your business, in your content creation, and in your marketing. Sound good? Okay, great. So we're going to talk about ways that you can reuse content you've already created to get a quick win and to get more results. First, I just want to say there's this idea that every single time we're going to make a post, upload a video to YouTube, release a new podcast episode, write an email, we feel like it has to be done completely completely from scratch every single time. But that's not true. And if you are a teacher creator or a teacher business owner, whether you are focusing on having a teachers pay teachers store or that's just one part of your greater business and ecosystem, you can reuse a lot of what you talk about. Think about it. We have these recurring themes that happen throughout the year, throughout the seasons. Of course, we have the 4 seasons, right? Fall, winter, spring, summer. And isn't that just such a teacher thing to make fall come first instead of saying winter because of the annual calendar year? Like, I still think in the academic school calendar just because I taught and worked in the education field so long. I mean, even when I was working in summer camps and outdoor schools and doing alternative education, I was on a school calendar. So in my head, August, September, that's the beginning of the year. Anyone else? So you have that. And then you have the naturally recurring events that happen throughout the year. These are types of seasons, like back to school is a big season in the TPT teacher creator space. And then you have testing cycles. So you might have benchmark testing in fall, benchmark testing around winter break, benchmark testing in spring, and maybe even at the end of the year, depending on which systems and standards and states testing you're doing. You might have district benchmarks, maybe 1 to 2 to 3 times a year. So that lends to a season of itself, a season of test prep, a season of spiral review. You have these certain themes that come up over and over again. You also have events like field day. Maybe you have a fall carnival. There are certain things that just in the culture of school and working in schools, you're going to see everywhere. Or if not everywhere, at least in many schools. And there are some that are regional. Here in Arizona, there are several days that students get off both here in Tucson and even on the res where I taught, because in February, we have the rodeo days. They know that so many parents and kids are going to be off that day, so they just give it to us off. They're like, we're just not even going to try to make people come in, because basketball is such a big deal on reservations throughout northern Arizona, in New Mexico, Colorado, Utah. They know that if a school gets to the state finals or even the semifinals, the parents will want to travel hours to support their kids, which is great. They want them to be involved. So they just give those days off. And I actually just heard that even in New York, I have a friend married to a teacher. She's not a teacher, but she told me they get several days off in February too. So there are certain things that you know are going to happen every single year. You can build that into your content creation and scheduling. And by the way, I have a program coming out soon that is going to focus specifically on that, about how we're not just creating content for this day, this week, this month, this year, this launch. We want to reuse posts. If a post did well, let us do it again. Literally copy paste. Let's not make more work for ourselves. Of course, that comes down to organization and making sure that we have a system set up so that not only we know what we posted and that we can find it, but that we can access it quickly again. And also that we can repost it again, because there are tools, there's software, there are apps out there to help us make that happen. So this could just be, when we're talking about reusing posts, going to a blog post, a podcast episode, a YouTube video that you haven't shared in a while, and just sharing it again. So if you're looking for what to send your email list, it could be a really short email saying, hey, I made this YouTube video like 3 or 4 years ago, but it's still really relevant. Here's why. Or maybe there are some things that you've learned and that you would change. That could be the whole point of your email. Hey, I made this YouTube video 5 years ago. There's a lot of really good content in it, but if I were to make it today, it would be different. Here's why. Honestly, that could be a whole video in itself, and then you could take that video and clip it down into shorts that could go to your social media posts. So you can do so much with content that's already living there, and that is one action item you can take this week. I want you to go find one piece of content, one video, one podcast episode, one blog post. It could even be a social media post that you're really proud of, and just share it. Share it to your stories. If you're on Instagram, share it in your Facebook group if that's where you're focusing your time. Send it to your email list. Reuse a piece of content that you already have and point people to it. They can still get value from it in some way, and you can add value to it by reacting to it, or even by using that as a basis for making new content. It all works together. Another thing you can start to think of, if you haven't created this kind of content yet, you could create content that you could reuse, because maybe you're newer and you don't have a lot of content yet, is you want to be thinking about your evergreen content. And I'm going to be talking about this a lot more. I like to think of this as a whole ecosystem, and I say that word a lot, but I really do think of it like that. Whenever I'm building up a content bank, I think of it like this. You have these different levels of a forest. You have the canopy, which is the top of the trees. It is what is most exposed as far as the outdoor elements, the sun, the wind, the rain, and the canopy actually protects everything that's going down below. By the way, didn't think you were getting a biology mini lesson here, but here we are. So we have the canopy up at the top. It really is kind of the foundation, right? The tree itself is a foundation of everything happening in the forest, and the tree needs to be there to support everything happening down below. Its protection, its shelter, its shade, shade so that everything else can grow, but you still have sun coming in through the trees. So you have that canopy. And if you don't have those core pieces of content yet, if you don't have those trees in your forest, the first step you really need to do is go plant some trees, right? Because you can't build out the whole forest ecosystem until you have that first set of trees there. And that can take some time. I really like having a YouTube first approach now. I used to be a blogger first, but now honestly, when I'm looking at the trends of where search is going, of where content behavior is going, it really just makes sense to have a video first approach. Whether you're focusing on short form video too, like TikTok, Instagram, and whatever platform comes out in the future, or whether you just want to have long form videos or maybe even a video podcast. So I'm a big fan of starting with YouTube and taking those videos. And once you have a bank of evergreen videos that will just continually get served up to people, because when someone searches in ChatGPT, Perplexity, by the way, isn't it wild? These AI tools are also search platforms now. So when they're searching on there, YouTube videos are coming up in the results. Same with Google. YouTube videos come up in the results. It also helps Google figure out who you are and what you're about when you have content in multiple places. So I do prefer to have, and I do recommend a multi-channel approach. If you can only focus on one place in 2025, content-wise, I would first focus on YouTube. I'm also seeing some pretty amazing results. I started a brand new YouTube channel 6 months ago, no ads, nothing, just organic, rankable, discoverable content. And I already have almost 1,000 subscribers on that channel. And at the rate it's growing, even though it's just 6 months old, it will probably have at least 1,000 subscribers and be within the YouTube partner program within the next couple of months. What does that mean? That means that not only are these videos leading to affiliate links, which people are clicking on, buying things, and that's making me money, but they're also going to my digital products that I have linked there. They're going to services I have linked there. And it's in a completely different niche. I'm also testing these same tactics and strategies out with my TPT store. If you're not already following my journey there on building up a TPT store within a year to have it make a full-time income and then possibly sell it, check out Becoming Prolific. That is a separate podcast, and it's not a seasonal or episodic thing. It's just as things happen, I'm releasing updates, but you'll find out more about that in the episode description. So be sure to check that out and go subscribe, because you'll see the whole journey of taking the store basically from negative money every month to now it's neutral to then profitable. So I'm really excited to share that with you. And also I'm just excited to get back into that brand and create for it again as a seller myself. Okay, back to reusing posts. So if you already have a content bank built up, you can send one of those posts you've already made. That's an easy one to reuse. But you can also reuse social media posts. I highly recommend getting organized, setting up a content bank for yourself in an app like Monday, Asana. Notion is amazing for this, and Notion is free up to, I want to say, the first 1,000 rows. Airtable is another one that I know many sellers love, and it can be really, really simple. In fact, if you can't even do that, you can just go back to your posts on your desktop Google Chrome browser, copy it and paste it, especially if you're using an app like Meta Business Suite, where you can schedule posts up to 30 days in advance. It really helps you to think through what are the different trends happening, what are the different things coming up seasonally, holiday-wise, and maybe do I already have a product that sells well every single March, April, February, August, whatever. You know it's going to be coming up, so you can just go ahead and schedule that in advance. Let's actually look at a client account. I worked with her for, I want to say, 2 or 3 years. She actually just sold her business, which is a huge milestone for her. So happy for her. But we're going to look at some posts that have done really well for her. So we literally just copied, tweaked, pasted. I even used the same images and they perform. So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. This is one of my prior clients' accounts. She is a TPT seller. She's very well established. This account, I'm not scrolled all the way up just because there have been so many posts since this one I'm talking about, but she has about 14,000 followers on Instagram or so. She also has a very established Facebook group of up to 5,000 or 6,000 people. She has an established Facebook page. I want to say it has like 11,000 followers, and she's been on TPT for 10 or 12 years as of when I'm recording this. Obviously, if you listen or watch in the future, longer time. Let's go ahead and look at these posts. Now, they look a little weird now because as of when I'm recording just recently, Instagram shifted the dimensions for all of the posts on the grid to now be rectangular and vertical instead of the square posts that we had for so many years. So it kind of messed up the dimension and preview of it. By the way, if this has happened to you, if you go on Instagram, I know I'm taking a little side quest here, but I think it's good for you to know. If you go on your posts on your feed here, okay, and then you go to one of these posts, I'm going to turn this down so it doesn't mess with the volume, okay, and you click on these 3 little dots in the upper, this is kind of hard for me to show you. I don't know if the glare will let you see it, but if you go to these 3 dots and you click on that, and then you click on adjust preview right there, if you click on that, it lets you move the cover of the photo a little bit. So see that one's a little off center. I can move it down to make sure that the the part of my face I want to show, the text shows, and then I'm going to click on that little check and it actually adjusts the preview. So if you're watching or listening to this in real time and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I go fix that? It's really bothering me. That's a really simple thing. Take a few minutes, really great activity if you're on a public commute or if you're watching TV. Go through and adjust the previews on your Instagram grid so that you can fix those. Okay, so I'm looking at her account and this was around Thanksgiving time. She has these really cute thankful notes she does, turkeys. We were using her product photography and I just want to show you this post. This post had 14 likes, 32 comments, and the way that we were doing it, we actually did not set up ManyChat for this account. We responded to each one manually. I would send that person a message acting as her and I would make sure that they would get the link. Okay, so we'd click on this and you can see that if they wanted to get this activity, they would just drop a turkey. They would drop the turkey, I would respond, and then I would send them a DM. So pretty good engagement on that post. Well, if we look at the actual caption, fun fall freebie for you, then I talked a little bit about it. Look at that. Fun fall freebie. Short post, by the way, didn't have to do a lot. If I scroll all the way down back to 1 year before that, you're going to see the exact same post, same image, basically the same caption, also performed well. I knew it performed well the year before, so why mess with it? Why not post the exact same thing? So that one, last year before, it actually had done better, 79 likes, over 100 comments. Now, some of those are me because I was responding to comments, a slightly different caption, but I took the caption basically that I went last time and I just shortened it, okay? So this was a fun, engaging one. It could have performed even better if I had a better call to action. So I said comment flock, so they did that, and for each comment, I responded back to them manually, okay? And this is actually not even showing all of them. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. It says 130 comments, but it's only showing like 10 right there, so that's weird. It was the same post, and same thing for these other ones. I used basically the same photos, okay? You can do the same thing, especially with any seasonal or holiday resources. In this program that I've been kind of dropping hints about, going to be coming up soon, I'm going to be taking you through that journey over a year. We're going to develop a bank of posts, and we're going to have them all in one place, and it's going to be copy, paste. I'm going to show you the different tools and apps that you can use so you don't have to be creating from scratch every time, because you really don't. And that's not even just social media, by the way. That's the same for emails. I mean, especially if you're using an app like ConvertKit, you could even just go to ConvertKit, click on the three little dots, duplicate, and then you can schedule that for the next year if you want. I mean, you can get really hands off with this business. I know so many people start a store on Teachers Pay Teachers, they start a shop on Etsy, or maybe they even start a blog. Maybe that was you because you like the idea of passive income. Now, I will often rant about passive income, about how it's not really passive. A lot of work goes into setting these things up and creating the content, marketing and promoting the content, creating products, marketing and promoting your products, reposting about your products, keeping top of mind, keeping your audience engaged. It's a lot. But if we use things like batching, automations, and AI to cut down the time it takes from idea to execution, and if we take what has worked well in the past, so you have to have some content for the program I'm talking about, you have to already be somewhat established, but if you at least have enough content, whether that's blog posts or YouTube videos, to know what was working well so that you can repost that again in the future and repurpose that to have other posts come from that, you'll be in such a good place. And after a year of doing that, if you're willing to work on that for a year, you won't have to come up with new posts again. Amazing, right? So that is just one way that you can reuse content, is you can literally take the same image, the same vote, the same video, the same caption, and reuse it. On that example, I actually tweaked the caption a bit, but I could have just copied the caption exactly what it was and pasted it again into the new post. So of course, depending on where you are in your journey, if you don't have a bank of evergreen content yet, that's going to be your first step, right? Is creating the content. Just like if you're a brand new TPT seller, you first need to create those products to put in your store. If you're brand new to content creation or marketing, you need to create those first few assets and pieces of content so that you have a bank to work from, right? Because if you don't have maybe 20, 30, 50 posts or blog posts, videos, or episodes yet, then you don't even have enough data to know what worked well, what did people like, what are people responding to then use to repurpose, reuse, and so on. So the first step would be to create that content bank. If you already have some content created, one thing you can do this week, like I said, is go to your old blog posts, your old videos, your old social media posts, and think, what is something that people really responded well to? And by the way, it doesn't mean that millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people saw it. It just means good for you, more people than usual. So if you usually get 200 views on your posts and one got 300, that's still pretty significant. That means that 150% of the people who liked your average post liked that one. There was something about it that made it an outlier. So why don't you send it to your email list? Or if it was an Instagram post, a reel, why don't you share that with your Facebook group? So now you're getting some cross-pollination. You can also find new ways to share that that post to reuse it. Maybe you haven't been sharing your blog posts to your Instagram stories. You can use the link sticker, which is a sticker that you can use for engagement. You might have noticed. If you haven't done that before though, really easy. Let me show you how to do that so you can get a quick win. You can go to your profile, click on that little plus in the upper right hand side. On that plus, you're going to click story. On that story, you're going to pick an image. It can really be any image. I'm just going to pick, actually, I'm going to click on the camera button right here. And then I'm going to click on the text because I'm going to create a block right here. And then I can click that little guy up in the top. There's that little box that has a face. I'm going to click on that, and that is going to bring up all the options you have for stickers. So if you haven't shared a story, by the way, that is one easy quick one you can do. And you're going to look for the link sticker, which is, it's kind of blurry, but it's towards the bottom. It's right next to poll and hashtag. So we're going to click on the link. And then in the first box, you're going to paste the link. That could be your blog post, your YouTube video, your podcast episode. And in the bottom where it says customize sticker text, you're going to say what you want for that sticker to say so that when they click on it, when they tap on it, it will take them to the link. So maybe reusing your content could be as simple as, are you sharing that content in a new place that maybe you haven't tried before? So your action steps for this episode are: 1, go make at least one piece of content that can be seen evergreen for the foreseeable future, that can rank and be found forever. If you already have some content, go find a piece of content that you haven't shared in a while, maybe it's collecting some digital dust, and share it. And if there's something that you do on a daily or weekly basis, even better. If you do share to your Instagram stories every day, share the blog post link there. If you send an email every week, send the content piece there. And I want to challenge you, if you do have some content, because that other step will only take you 5 or so minutes, I want to challenge you to think about what are some other ways you can share your content. Have you been sharing your content on your Instagram stories? If not, go try it. Or is there somewhere you can link it? This is a really creative idea. You could have a domain that you buy. Domains are usually between $12 and $20 per year, so they're not super expensive. And you can name it something fun and engaging, like what's happening in math, or I don't know. That was a bad example. I'm thinking of this off the cuff because I literally just got this idea while I was talking. But you could come up with something that's branded that makes sense for you and your store and your name, and think, where could I link this fun domain name that it leads to something different every single week? Like, so every single week you go into the domain settings and you forward that domain to somewhere else. That's why I said this might be a little bit more advanced, because you have to have been working with websites and domains already. But if you have 1 or 2 domains and you know where to go buy them, or if you don't, maybe go consider doing that, and just link that to a new piece of content every single week that you want to drive traffic to. And then it can kind of be a set it and forget it thing. You have this fun domain name, you link it in your Instagram links, in your milkshake, on your links page of your website, wherever you're doing that, and then it leads to something new every time. And it could even be something like this week's free resource or this week's quick win. I don't know. You can call it something fun, but it can be a call to action that you use actually in future content. And you can even say there's kind of this mystery box appeal. They don't know what they're going to get when they click it. And of course, you want to make sure it's a secure domain, that it's protected, and that when you're forwarding, it's always going to a safe link. But let them know, hey, you don't know it's going to be there by the time they get there. So it's kind of this fun thing, and it's something you can reuse over and over again. So you can even have a snippet in your email. And I do this. I have what's called mystery boxes. I do switch the links up from time to time, but I have a few different versions of that snippet. So I have version A, version B, version C, and I'm going to add more versions as time goes on. So people don't know what they're getting. Even if they've been getting my emails for a while, it just gives that other incentive to open the email if we're talking about email marketing, or check your stories if you're focused on Instagram. What are they going to get at that secret link today or this week? I hope that you appreciated those ideas. I hope that this inspires you to go and reuse some content. Go get some new eyes on it. It's not over yet, right? You created it. Let's get the most out of it. And once you set up these automations to start driving traffic, to start posting the same posts every week, month, quarter, or year, you're going to see that this takes way less time to do, and you're going to get more traffic to your resources. And then you're going to see you'll get more subscribers, site traffic, and sales on autopilot with your content, which is what I love helping you to do. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Social Media Magic Podcast. Again, my name is Brittany Verlenich, and I'll talk to you soon.